YouTube.
YouTube.
Am I doing it right?
YouTube.
Did I make you proud, Nick? What is up, YouTube? This is Logan with ViableGaming, and welcome to my first Let's Play. Now, this will be part one of my Monster Train Let's Play series. The goal here is just to get my Covenant 25 streak to as high as possible. This includes two things that you don't see in a lot of Monster Train content. The first of which is that I'm not going to be playing on random. There's actually a kind of interesting experiment here, which is choosing the combinations of factions and starter cards that you want to build your decks around. And the other thing I will be doing is fight resetting, which is re-rolling fights by exiting the main menu and jumping back into the fight to reset RNG and figuring out how you can manipulate the cards you draw and the randomness within fights by doing so. I won't be using mods or mutators. The goal is literally just to get that little number in the top right corner to as high as I can within the normal bounds of the game. If you want to see more content like this, or you want to see how high this streak goes, definitely like and subscribe. And also comment down below with what combinations of factions you think would be best for generating consistent runs in a long Covenant streak. Now, the basic strategy that I'm going to be running here is using Tethys, specifically his Conduit upgrade, along with the Frozen Lances that come with him and the torches from the Hellhorn primary clan. Combining those two things together actually gives me a base where my starter cards scale pretty well into the late game because they're free. And having consistently useful starter cards is one way to build a deck that does what it does a little more reliably. If you like this content and you want to see it being made live, or you want to ask me questions while I'm in runs, I have a schedule on the screen over that way, where you can come check out my Twitch streams. I'll be streaming this game at least 3 days a week, and hopefully more with the upcoming update.
Please put the links on the other side of the screen that you pointed at. So you're like pointing over here and pops up on this side.
Y'all have a great day. Keep your heads up. Keep your train rolling, and I'll catch you in the next one. I guess technically, couldn't really say we were playing for a streak earlier. The stream title was just absolute clickbait. But now we are. That little one. Just chilling. This is not a great start, though Seraph the Chase is not a particularly tough one to deal with. Pretty ironic, though, to have Seraph the Chase plus a bunch of cards that apply debuffs and buffs. Ice Tornado is not bad. Gives you something to throw magic power on early. It's not great overall. We also have Scourge Fell. Okay. Consumed Crown really doesn't end up doing a lot in this deck as it goes. You kill most things that you're going to kill with spells, but Concussive Coals does even less. The units that Seraph is going to put into play are going to be cleansed by Seraph of that daze when they come in, assuming they get dazed at all. And other than that, I'm playing on top floor. This could daze some of Daedalus's bombs, but I shouldn't have a problem dealing with those, even with the extra layer of protection. Alright. Always take Conduit if it's available, assuming you're playing this strat. If you're not starting with Hellhorn and Torches, might not always be the play. Mark of Invasion would have been the one really big benefit to having Concussive Coals, but should still be fine, and the Consumed Crown will do a decent bit in the early game anyways. What you closing that for? Wow, you don't bother me. Alright. So I can actually just kill 3 of these, which will effectively allow me to kill the Collector if I block with a Train Steward. Tempted to actually just kill all 4. Conserve as much health as possible. That does leave me with less Slay triggers, but 3 more health might be more valuable. I think the answer is yes, though if I don't draw a Torch for that backliner in the next turn, it's slightly awkward. And if I do Torch here right now, that leaves me more open to play an Ice Storm that I draw on this floor next turn, because I wouldn't be able to play... Well, I could Ice Storm plus a Torch if I drew a Torch, because the Torch would be cheaper thanks to Conduit on the top floor. I'm going to conserve the health on my unit. Alright. Worked out. Ice Tornado, top. Make sure I can take... Well, I can actually take 2 hits from this on this Train Steward, even with it taking 2 damage. So this 2 damage doesn't actually do that much. The real big problem here is even the Torch doesn't get me to the point where I'm slaying that unit anyway, so I'd have to drain it. I think I'd rather just Ice Tornado here. And let's go ahead and play this Torch here, because it's the one thing I know I'm going to want to do long term. Alright, end up taking a single hit. It's not bad. Possibly avoidable. Not going to sweat it way too much. Titan's Gratitude, pretty mediocre here. Actually not great. Given the permafrost that's built in the Ice Tornadoes, you don't want to end up discarding them. It's going to be tough for me to clear out my hand. Extra Ice Tornado, also not really amazing. I already have enough of that type of effect. Really, that effect is like the value of having a chunky spell that scales with magic power pretty well. And then Mollusk Mage is just not worth a card drawn or capacity on your floor regardless. Fortify or Hornbreak. Fortify lets me help Tethys deal with things like spikes and sweepers. Even a single Fortify does that to a pretty significant degree, and I don't have any effect like that yet, so I'm going to take Fortify. Alright, Stygian Banner on a Merchant of Steel side is absolutely nuts. You can go look at the Merchant first. Alright, Endless Rage, Incant Armor. Incant Armor's best upgrade you could see. Unfortunately, not the best units. Neither of them works super well against the Seraph. Though Titan Sentry will help me like generate free value against Fel at least. And it provides a way for me to deal... I could throw the Titan Sentry on the bottom line, even if I'm not actually playing that bottom line with a wave, to deal with the units that'll give me Scourges. And I do need something to throw this Incant Armor on, because this is just too valuable to miss out on. Take a look at my map. I'm going to go left side next time. It's possible I want to reroll to have something good enough to a Hell Vent here. So that's what I'm going to go with. So I'm actually going to take Large Stone here. The reason I'm not too worried about the capacity increase here is what I'm planning on doing right now is Hell Venting this, which means that at least the first copy, which I throw on the bottom floor, not actually to play with alongside another wave, doesn't really care too much about that. And the copy on the top, I can deal with that with a few different things. I'm really hoping for things that let me overstack, like Hidden Passage anyways. So that helps, but you can also kind of just get by with a smaller number of units. Also, the fact that this deck doesn't need mana that much allows you to take capacity increases your boss relic more often. Extra damage on units shouldn't matter too much here, given that this is only the second fight. My Titan Sentry should be able to survive quite a bit anyways. And the unit draft's pretty valuable. I'll also be able to remove a lot of these things between Torches and Ice Tornadoes. At least for this fight, we do play Tethys up here. Somewhat tempted to hold probably my other copy of Fledgling Imp, or maybe this one, and end up getting it here later. It's not really going to do too much early. The worst place the Collector could spawn, but it's extremely manageable still. I should have thrown the extra armor on Tethys, actually. The extra hit from Tethys might mean more, though this taking an extra hit will end up meaning another turn of Frostbite triggering. This thing is going to have a lot of Frostbite on it by the end of that fight. So I can see that going one of a couple ways. Alright. Could trade health on Tethys there for health on Titan Sentry. Fledgling Lamp will not do much at this point, but I don't really have a lot of other options. Easy kill regardless. Kind of nice to occasionally check how much you can kill the boss by. Not to style on the game, though that's a little fun. But partly so you can see, like, get a feel for how far you are ahead of the game at that point. Obviously, some fights can kind of fluctuate rapidly in terms of their difficulty. Some fights later on can even become easier. Just the way waves go up or dealing with fights that your particular deck is prepared to deal with more. But it still serves as a nice barometer to see how much you can beat bosses by. At least as a rough estimate of your power level relative to the game at that point, because that'll help you make decisions about things like paying costs that are immediate, that give you long-term benefits, and determining whether or not you're able to make those choices. A lot of situations in the game create short-term costs that give you long-term benefits. Nameless Siren is just not a very good card. It's really going to suffer against Seraph the Chase, but even if that wasn't at play, I just don't take it. It's probably the least valuable of the incant threats in the game, or incant cards in the game. Alright, we'll look at the Stygian banner first. Guard of the Unnamed. Not bad. The extra Titan Sentry I'm about to make is already kind of better. Given that I also really don't need the Cold Kelia. Just kind of the same type of effect. Oh, worth knowing, by the way, you can torch your own Titan Sentries is a very valuable play to make, especially on a conduit floor with Tethys triggering a lot of Frostbite. I think I'm going to take a skip here. At this point, I kind of just need more ways to scale up health on these units, and something like a Guardian Stone would provide that. I'll look at this before I dupe in case I get the size reduction, because then I would just make a crap ton of little skinny, thick Titan Sentries. Awoken Rares tend to be the best, honestly. And the problem with Melting Remnant and Umbra specifically when you get events like this is they have a lot of cards that are very parasitic. They kind of only interact with their own faction. For as weak as for as weak of a faction as Awoken is, its rares tend to be pretty good. Spreading Spores being one of those will not work that well with the armor. Might just be powerful enough to not matter anyways. Does not play well against Seraph though. But it will get me through some early fights, I guess. Let's see if we can get a Merchant of Magic that we actually want to go to very soon. I'm probably going Merchant of Magic in the next zone. As much as I want this Heroes of Sword, the Hellhorn banner doesn't do anything for me. This effectively, collectively turns into 85 gold. Though having extra gold going into a Merchant of Trinkets is not bad. Actually possible. I do want to go for the right side here. So if I'm saving up money, then I'm skipping Merchant of Magic, which means I'm not hitting Merchant of Magic until here. And this one does look good. That's very late on. This could be a skip. Channel Song to possibly enhance the Titan Sentry and make it more consistent that I get my second Titan Sentry faster is pretty nice. I really don't need the Cycle of Life. The Spikes doesn't do anything. Spreading Spores might just be too clunky here. It's very weird. It is a lot of incant triggers later on. But I think I'm going to have too much armor for the regen to really matter. And I do need my spells to actually do damage so I can clear things out a little more consistently. I think this is a skip. As weird as that is. Very rare to skip a spreading spores, honestly. Alright. Explosives explode twice is really not bad when your deck is full of torches and lances. I'd like to get my Titan Sentry going on the bottom floor first. Though this wave is one that kind of disincentivizes that. That wave's not too threatening to let go up because those units only have 1 power. And the later waves will include tankier units, so I think I might just want to preserve the extra health of my Titan Sentry. There it is. Yeah, this is a much better entry point for that Titan. Start kind of carving through these things. Alright, constructed explosive exploding twice there is actually not that bad. It does give me a lot of frostbite on Daedalus, but that is a big health cost, and that health cost is going to equate to less turns that Daedalus is going to be hit by frostbite later when he's attacking this Titan Sentry. And less frostbite accrued by Daedalus attacking the Titan Sentry in the first place. So I'm actually going to deal with this constructed explosive. Possible I do want to just torch my Titan Sentry here, though. Let's shoot Tethys. Alright, not a bad time to get Fledgling Imp down. Not that it's amazing either, but this Fledgling Imp does equate to an extra turn of Daedalus eating Frostbite later. I should have gotten the Train Steward out, so it's not in the next cycle. That's just kind of a misplay on my part. Okay, could get Fledgling Imp down. Does equate to an extra hit on Daedalus. It's a little bit of extra damage as the Fledgling Imp hits, and also the extra turn of Frostbite triggering. Pretty good chunk of Frostbite going there. Be an easy kill. Yeah. That's not even close. I could have checked how close the fight was. The answer was not very. Gifts for a guard is clunky in some types of these decks. The overstacking deck can have problems with it giving your hidden passages consumed. I do not currently have that, and I really don't currently have any spells that are so vitally important to this deck. I don't have any holdover yet, though I plan on getting them. It is kind of just a good early boost of power. It's a way to get your deck online a little bit faster. It's not bad. I don't really have enough. I'm not going to take so much Conduit probably that I'm able to just play Gifts for a Guard plus multiple copies of like stuff like Ice Tornado and Crypt Builders in the same turn. I'm going to take Gifts. Lets me do some powerful things. This is another skip. I really just need ways to scale up damage. There's a small argument for taking Guard of the Unnamed as a backliner. It's a way to actually just make sure that you get more hits with Tethys if Tethys ends up having Frostbite, but also Frostbite triggers from the Frostbite the Titan Sentries accrued on the boss. I'm not likely to get many more units. I really don't care for a Hellhorn unit. but I'd already have to take extra capacity to squeeze that in as is. I'd like to get totems, and totems are the one thing I could actually acquire here. I'm going to take a skip. I think card draw is the way to go. I can currently play all the things I need to, and I'll still have the second boss relic upgrade if I really need to like guarantee that I can fit a totem behind Titan Sentry along with Tethys on the top floor, even if I get the capacity reduction in that fight. If I had a 2 capacity unit, then I would probably take the extra capacity there. Alright. I don't have anything that wants holdover, which is the main upgrade you're looking for with these. I also don't have things that scale up with magic power to an incredible degree. Light's Gift is tricky. I actually lose damage with Light's Gift because things don't end up hitting my units. My Titan Sentry on the top floor. Now that being said, the Light's Gift will be cleansed in the final fight, so it's irrelevant there. And it does more for me in these early fights because I'm already going to have the Frostbite on those units from my first Titan Sentry, which is less reliable to have later on in this run. Cleansing Water just does so little at this stage of the game. The main things it can really cleanse are Clergymen or Spikes, but you should be, by this point, you're not going to encounter Clergymen. You should be kind of prepared to deal with Spikes. I'm just going to take a Light's Gift. Could end up causing me to actually do significantly less damage here, but we'll see. We'll see what becomes more valuable. It does drastically increase my ability to kill bosses. By way of giving me more health on that top floor. Neighbors are being extremely loud. No clue what's going on there. I might actually need to go ahead and throw a Fledgling Imp down here. I'm not likely to be able to line it up, so I get a ridiculous amount of extra value from it later on. And it does provide an extra way to hit more things next turn. Couldn't really rely on trying to play one next turn because of the days, 1 turn of days that comes in from Covenant 10. Is a Frostbite deck still an okay idea against Seraph the Chase? Alright, so part of the thought process here is what'll generally happen is you're not actually going to lose fights to Seraph a lot in Covenant 25, even with the extra 1,000 health. Seraph tends to be in this kind of swingy realm where you've done so many things to set up your deck to be ridiculously powerful in a way that nothing is going to stop it. Or you're not. It's kind of one or the other. I might actually reroll here, by the way. The other argument is the one part of the Seraph fight that you're actually most worried about is the Relentless fight, and the Frostbite doesn't actually have any diminishing effects in the Relentless fight. Now, the Frostbite also gives you a lot more of the scaling, but what are you really doing with the other effects is the question. So I can already get Conduit 2, taking this path anyways, which is going to allow me to play a lot of those bigger spells anyways, especially with like a single cost reduction upgrade, which is always in every Magic store, or just with how little mana this deck's going to be spending at that point, just kind of playing all those spells for 1 or 2 mana anyways. And the sweep effect, if you're playing top floor, which you kind of have to in Covenant 25 a lot, the main value that you get from the sweeping Tethys actually becomes applying spell weakness to bosses, and Seraph the Chase cleanses that as well. So there's not really a great option there. You also actually gain more damage from the Frostbite than you do by going with a higher Conduit or sweep anyways, because the Frostbite still triggers at the end of the turn where you get that initial hit. Also some random synergies to be thrown in there, like having Cuddlebeard just being an insane option is always good. Frostbite is really just kind of pushed hard in this game. There's a possible reroll here. Probably not going to take it. I actually have enough damage spells to just clear things out, but I should have actually played my first Titan Sentry on the bottom floor turn 1. Slow down things going up. I'm not going to be too worried about having that Titan Sentry die. It kind of exists to die. Alright, So 19, 24, 48. So I end up killing that frontliner exactly, which means I don't have the extra room to hit it later on. By the way, thanks for the question, Random Logic. Greatly appreciated. I think I'm just going to go ahead and throw the Ice Tornado. And then just get the extra incant trigger here. So it's a mixture of there not being, just kind of for a summary on the answer, it's a mixture of there not being a good alternative to take in this case, and the fact that you still get a lot of the effects that you want from the Frostbite. And it's not just the effects that you want, it's the effects that like matter more to the run than that sustained Frostbite on Seraph. Because really Seraph is only cleansing itself from Frostbite there. And this deck doesn't actually gain a lot of room to hit Seraph with Tethys a lot, as is. What generally happens is you're having to unload your damage to kill units as they come up, and your goal is to preserve armor on your units while preserving health on your pyre. Because if you do those two things, you're not going to have a problem with killing Seraph as it comes up anyways. So this unit won't be too much of a problem, but it's the same level of problem as that one. Just make sure we kill the units that are coming up earlier. So once I'm set up, I'm kind of set up. So this deck doesn't actually have scaling damage in any way, which is a little bit annoying. This wave could be a bit of a problem. I might just want to start torching my own Titan Sentry here. I can only do that once right now to still get full value. I can actually also Fledgling Imp on the bottom floor, which lets Titan Sentry live for one more turn. Seraph the Patient is also just particularly rough when you're before you learn how to deal with him. He's certainly creates a certain level of, I don't know, an entry hazard in this game. Gifts for a Guard probably does enough of what I need it to do here to clear this floor and leaves me with the Ice Tornado for next turn. And hitting an Ice Tornado here to actually just go ahead and throw on that middle floor is insane. Alright. Unfortunately, going to get maximum amounts of resolve on this unit. Not a whole lot I can do about that. Playing on a lower floor, just not much of an option here. I could actually play on the middle floor. Despite the capacity reduction, I'll still be fine to fit Tethys plus Titan Sentry here. And that leaves more time for the Frostbite to percolate as units go up anyways. So if I need to reroll in this fight, that would probably be what I'll do. Drain is not bad here. I think Gifts from Guard is going to do more for me than even the Crypt Builder will do. My last run was against the Patient. I was doing Hellhorn Umbra and managed to stack Damage Shield on Hornbreaker Prince. How are you stacking it? It's an interesting question. Was it like with the consumable pot or grovels? Because usually when I find there's big stacks of Divine Shield, it's almost always on the Crucible creature. So Holdover Frenzied Swarm is actually a way to achieve the effect that I would achieve with the Light's Gift, even against the Seraph. Now again, there's a question of whether or not I can afford that, because I do lose damage. As much as I want this Frenzied Swarm for the final fight, can't afford it. I actually miss the days when Umbra Remnant would be an insane combo because you could generate insane amounts of mana with cards like Memories from the Fallen and then play a Shroud Spike. I would have whole runs where my strategy would just be get Permafrost on those cards to play that combo, or just one of those cards. Nothing I'm really caring about here. Did you play at the time when morsel deaths counted as deaths? Random logic? Reduce merchant costs is very good. With the amount of gold I have, I'm guaranteed to actually generate value off it, assuming I spend my gold. Also, I'm fairly confident I'm rerolling here. I think I've already seen the Claws, which makes Icicle Fracture not that good. No, I did not see the Claws this run. Okay. In case I get an event that gives me the Claws, I might actually want the Icicle Fracture, so I'm not going to reroll the shop before I see this. Monster Rail Spike, pretty much always the one to go for here. Also gives me something to throw behind the Titan Sentry that I'm kind of just throwing away. Pretty new, only started this week. Okay, so it used to be that morsel units counted as deaths for the purpose of all of the Melting Remnant cards, which was absolutely insane. You would cast Memories of the Fallen, which is 0 mana and gives you a mana for every unit that's died under your control this combat. You'd be casting those for like, I don't know, in the 30s and 40s. You could make just absolutely ludicrous amounts of mana. Also, there's a Sweeper in Melting Remnant that does a similar thing. What Covenant level are you at right now? Cuddlebeard, always insane, even with Seraph the Chaste here. Probably taking that. Winged Indulgence becomes the next consideration, though the Light's Gift mitigates that effect quite a bit. And I'd be a bit worried about some units that end up only having 1 power actually not attacking and triggering Frostbite. Precious Plating, kind of meh. I'm going to be hitting a shop in all of the next 3 zones, so I'd rather just conserve my money right now. On the last one at 15. Well, at least you've gotten over the big hump. In my opinion, the biggest hump that you encounter in Covenant climbing in this game is the one at 10. Friendly units enter the top floor days. It requires a really, really large learning curve. But even in a lot of situations, there's just like, there's scenarios where if you're not playing with, you know, torches and frozen lances, where you just can't get collectors because you can't put things in and have them attack on the first turn. So getting over Covenant 10 means you're really, really in a good position to be able to go very, very far in this game. The next big spike that you'll deal with is Covenant 20, which reduces a lot of your planning. It makes it so you lose a capacity on a random floor every fight. Things that fundamentally change how you have to play the game are really the toughest things to overcome when increasing your Covenant level. I only have the single Fortify to give extra spikes to Tethys, which is a bit of a problem. Or to give extra armor to Tethys to deal with the spikes. But I think I'll survive this. And the artifact is really, really important. So this is one of those scenarios I talk a lot about avoiding or embracing variance in these types of games, in pretty much any card game. So generally you want to avoid variance and pursue lines of play and scenarios where you have as much of a condensation in the possible results as you possibly can. What tends to happen though is the thing that matters in a lot of card games is just, did you win or did you not? It's very, very binary. And you have to cross certain thresholds of circumstance and luck and play skill to actually win. So when you encounter scenarios where you're not that likely to win because one of those things has worked against you, whether it be circumstance or luck or even play, and that barometer shifts down to where there's such a small subset of possible scenarios where you actually win, you tend to gain more actual win percentage, by embracing more variance and spreading out that delta between the best and worst case scenarios. So in this case, I don't actually feel like this run is that strong. It's fine, but it's not that strong. So I'm going to take a small chance on this to just kind of spread out my curve there, my results curve, and see what I can get from it. Fledgling imps could create a problem here. I don't think there will be 2 overcharged tank waves in a row, so I do actually want to go ahead and get these down. They are going to trigger spikes here, or trigger harvest here. Alright, but I should be able to deal with this with Ice Tornado. Now, I want to weaken things, but I don't exactly want them to just not be able to attack, so I might throw Drain on this Quilled Marksman. I lose a little bit of health on my Titan Sentry, but I actually gain more damage on this Overcharge tank by doing so. The health might be more important. I do have my second Ice Storm already, so I don't think I'll have too much of a problem dealing with this Overcharge tank. Yeah. These waves are where things start to become a bit of a problem. At this point, I'm probably just going to hold my buffed up Train Steward. Might even go ahead and play Gifts from Guard. Or Crypt Builder, the frontliner here. Yeah. I don't think I'll have to be too concerned about the boss himself. I do need to be concerned about Tethys' health. I will draw Fortify in the next hand, so as long as I'm actually killing these units before Tethys is forced to attack, I'll be fine. Which I can do with both of my Ice Tornadoes here. I should have actually played this Torch first. Slight misplay. We'll consider if we need to reroll the fight. I'm actually going to go ahead and throw this Train Steward here, maximize my chance of being able to kill that Overcharge tank with a big spell. Got there. This having exactly 26 health is very, very unfortunate here. This having 14 health is very fortunate, though. I can see if the Drain actually helps me here. First stack of Drain, that puts this down to 7, so this hits for 7. It doesn't actually change this, so it goes 7 and then 9. It does only hit for 11 on the first hit here, which could change something, but I'm actually going to gain more by playing more spells on this floor anyways. This for a guard. Alright, we're chilling. Stealth boss can randomly be one of the toughest bosses to deal with outside of the major bosses. Actually, I think tougher than a lot of the combinations of major bosses that you can counter. It, again, is just one of those things that punishes very, very specifically built decks in a very specific way and forces you to plan around it, though you can't even plan around this one because you don't get heads-up information on it coming. Hammer Chestplate is going to be very helpful here for helping Tethys survive. Glacial Seal does fit into kind of the category of things I was looking for earlier. But I think armor scalability is going to actually generate more damage here long term, or sap. The odds I get another totem, they're not that bad between here and the final fight. I think this is probably a skip. Glacial Seal really won't scale well against Seraph the Chaste. Tiresome Climb. It is pretty consistently going to help as a removal spell. I think Branding Right's actually a slam dunk here. It triggers Revenge on Titan Sentry, which is actually kind of nuts. So your plus armor triggers Revenge to apply Frostbite, and also can be cost reduced as an armor card by Teth's Conduit mode. Alright, here we do not have extra slots for unit upgrades. And spell upgrades, I actually wouldn't mind holdover on Branding Right, cost reduction, and holdover on Gifts for a Guard, magic power on Ice Tornadoes, a lot of good things. Double card removal's not bad either. Double stack +1. Double stack on Branding Right's actually insane. It also gives me a good argument alongside the double Ice Tornado and the Crit Builder for going a second stack of Conduit. I actually like that. It's a way to scale my armor. I'm still a little concerned about my ability to scale damage. At this point, I would actually like to have holdover on this. I'm going to take cost reduction on Gifts for a Guard. And save money. I'm still encountering just a crap ton of shops here. Fledgling Imps do a little more than Trained Stewards here. It's nice to have the cards that get out of the deck in the first cycle, though with the Gifts for the Guard. I actually kind of need the higher quantity of spells. Alright. This is one of the tougher fights you can counter. Scourge fell. Really rough. Conduit decks deal with it pretty well, though. The cost reduction is nice, and the Titan Sentries are going to help me clear out these Absolvers. This is it's very unfortunate to have drawn both my Titan Sentries in this hand here, because I can't play both of them plus the Ultimate Penance. My deck will not cycle fast enough for me to really be able to afford not having both of these online at the same time, so I actually think I need to just take the Penance here. It's a real shame, especially if I draw that Penance plus a refreshed Penance later on. So I'm curious, Random Logic, are you more interested in random content than my project here? It's not like I've done an excessive amount of market research when going into this, so the opinions of the audience are vitally important right now. Possible I would actually do more overall by torching my own Titan Center there. But I think conserving health is just going to be important here. Do I really need to Gifts for a Guard? Probably not. I'd actually like to start sweeping this floor. I need to get out these Ice Tornadoes in a more timely manner. Unfortunate to not kill there. Oh man, Fell, you need to calm down. Calm down, sister. Yeah, the extra damage that I'm losing here because of the Light's Gift is a little annoying. I really don't want to end up discarding the Ice Tornado because I might actually need it to have a critical mass of spells this turn. Alright, we're good. A few points of damage taken. Not too bad. This Fel plays not as badly against this deck as a lot of decks, but still pretty rough. Tough to avoid having that one be rough. Now, the Gifts for a Guard actually has diminishing returns with the Harness the Titan. For as good as Harness usually is, you really don't want to enhance your spells and then just have them consumed after their second cast. I also don't really have a lot of things like Ice Storms right now. I just have the Tornadoes and the Crypt Builder. I also really don't want to end up enhancing my Branding Right. Just take Ice Empire here. It's nice chunky damage. Another good thing to throw Magic Power on. Seems like more card draw is going to be really important here. It's unfortunate I don't get to see if I'm going to get another totem in that last draft. Right side, probably here. The Herzl Sword's very valuable, but I don't get anything out of the Merchant of Steel. And Concealed Caverns can actually do a lot for me. Another area where embracing higher variance plays helps. Permafrost, kind of whatever. Magic Power is good. A thing to think about going into this Concealed Caverns is, do I have a spell that I'd be okay duping 5 times? And if the answer is no, you generally want to upgrade a spell before you go to the Concealed Caverns. Now, I already know what my Dark Forge choices are going to be, so I can actually make that choice later and already have all the information available to me, because it has to be second Conduit or second Frostbite. I'm probably going second Conduit. There's a consideration for cost reduction on Branding Right, but if I cost reduce Branding Right, I'd lose the opportunity to get Holdover on that Branding Right, which would actually be really, really strong here. Though Holdover plus Magic Power on Ice Empire is actually not bad either. Does a lot of what I'm looking for right now. That being said, if I can look at my reroll first, I can still cost reduce the Branding Right before I go to Concealed Caverns, which is nice if I don't get Holdover. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to throw Magic Power and then I'm going to throw the cost reduction on something else. Go ahead and reroll this, and then I'll do the Concealed Caverns. So in this case, we cost reduce Gifts for a Guard again. Alright, didn't get there. Magic Power and Consume is actually not too bad. Alright. So I'm going to go ahead and cost reduce Branding Right, because this is the thing I would want to dupe 5 times if I get that event. So at this point I do have a spell that I'm cool with duping 5 times, so now I'll go to the Concealed Caverns. Large Shard, that's great. Yeah, Large Shard's absolutely excellent here. I don't get a lot of value off of it because I'm not spread too wide in terms of units, but I don't have any healing. I don't really need the health either. Alright, so at this point, Conduit 2 versus Frostbite 2. Conduit 2 is not bad. My main problem that I'm probably going to encounter is Gifts for a Guard getting rid of valuable spells like Branding Right, which kind of makes me lean towards Frostbite 2. I'm already doing a lot of work with Conduit 1. My deck is really, really trimmed down because I've taken a lot of Ember Stones. So I think I'm just going to go second Frostbite. Alright, 400 coins, something I kind of just need here, and I'm not actually too worried about Teth's dying from spikes now. Gilded Wings are absolutely going to destroy me, though. I'm going to have trouble dealing with them. Kind of need to just deal with these early waves, so I'm just going to go ahead and play Gifts now. Alright. Awkward time to draw Ice Empire. I probably need to go ahead and push the Steel Wings back. It is effectively a removal spell to do so. This Titan Sentry did not last too long. I might actually go ahead and branding right the Titan Sentry. I think I'll generate more value doing that long term. Drastically reduce the amount of mana I have available this turn. So damage here is 45 plus the extra 5 from the frontliner dying, so 50. Oh, and then the spikes 5, so 55. So I'm actually only barely dying, which means if I fledgling imp, he will survive. And surviving to get a hit off next turn is really, really big here. Tethys should have enough extra health to where I can afford to hit him a couple times. Alright. Can no longer save you, my friend. At this point, I really need to deal with this Gilded Wing. It's unfortunate having this Steel Wing going along with it. Made a lot less consistency on my Ice Tornado. Should be enough, though. Yep. I don't actually want the smaller units to hit. Actually, it doesn't really matter how I orient this turn. Okay. Because the only unit alive in that wave doesn't deal damage. Do I need to play the gifts this turn? I really don't want to hit my branding right with it, so I'm actually going to avoid it for that reason. Checking what's left in your deck is very valuable here. Worth noting, Gifts for a Guard only draws from your remaining deck. Here, it does not draw from the collective pile of your discard and your deck. Still nice to be able to kill this thing earlier to save some health on Tethys. Tethys will barely die as is, though he can only hit once, so if I just fortify him here, he's solid. Let's go ahead and make sure we get that taken care of. This wave did not get quite as crushed. Titan Sentry just died too fast there. Alright, now Gifts for a Guard is going to be extremely important to cast. Branding Right's not in the cycle, and an Ice Storm is guaranteed. So I should draw exactly these 3 cards, assuming they haven't changed how this card works, but I don't think they have. Yes. Still works the same. Alright. Now this is gonna hurt. That I will say. Get absolutely walloped by this wave. Not a whole lot I can do about that, though. It's a painful one. What can I hit? They're all kind of mediocre, but that's fine. Normally care more about the incant triggers, but with Gifts for Guarded spells, the amount of damage that you're dealing with them is a lot more valuable than the marginal amount of armor. We're good, but not by an incredible amount. I'm a little worried about this final fight. Alright, so here's the point at which, as much as I don't care for the Glacial Seal, I might just need it. It's a little extra burst of damage, but there's also the matter that it just gives me something to do with that extra space, and I'm not too worried about the investment of a card that leaves my deck on the first cycle. So I'm actually going to take the Glacial Seal here. Still going Merchant of Magic here. Might actually even Hellvent a third Titan Sentry, if I'm being honest. Alright, left side looks great here. Looking for holdover, magic power, a lot of things. Double stack +1, not incredible. Alright, check trinkets. Nice to check both before you buy anything. Jack strips, it's already covered just by the existence of ass-loaded torches that I have. Ashes of the Fallen doesn't do a lot at this point. I'm not that likely to get a Imp Sickle, which is the one thing that would allow me to play this without already being heavily invested in Imps. Improved Firebox would work very well if I already had something like Unbroken Horn. In this case, this is probably a reroll. And I think it's so much guaranteed to be a reroll that I'd like to reroll that before I choose to reroll the shop and make decisions about what I'm playing here. Okay. Extra armor is good. Lightstone Casing can actually do some pretty insane things. Let's see what spells we're likely to upgrade a lot. Branding Right's one of them. If I can get holdover on this Branding Right, that'll be nuts. Even an extra cost reduction's not bad. Double upgrading the Ice Empire with some extra magic power. Let's see. I don't think that was available, though, because this is the Consume magic power. Consume magic power is probably fine to throw on a chunky spell. I'd like to be able to play my... I can't really afford that, honestly. Playing on a torch is a bit awkward because it means that Gifts for a Guard is going to hit my thicker spells more often early on. But it also gives me that extra burst that I was going to get from having that torch anyways. That torch be hit with the Gifts for a Guard. We only went one conduit, so I'm probably going to cost reduce either Crit Builder or Ice Tornado. In this case, I'd rather cost reduce the Crit Builder because it'll scale better if I'm going to put extra magic power on things anyways. There's the holdover. Alright, so now we take Lightstone Casing. And then I might even just dupe the Branding Right. If I dupe the held over Branding Right, they each only cost 1. Becomes pretty insane. They're pretty awkward to hit with Gifts for a Guard, but what's cool about holdover plus Gifts for a Guard draws from your remaining deck. You can actually choose whether or not you want to hit your held over card with Gifts for a Guard, because when you hold over a card, it goes to the top of your deck. So if I play Gifts for a Guard while the Branding Rights are still in my hand at the beginning of a turn, then I'm guaranteed to not hit them. And if I play it afterwards, then I'm guaranteed, or almost guaranteed, to hit them. Extra armor. The extra spell weakness is actually pretty relevant too. This is just extra damage. I will have enough money to do what I want to do here. Let's just check other options real quick. Ice Empire is a pretty solid one. Ooh. I might actually need that. So, I don't think armor scaling is going to be my big problem here, and I need to be able to deal with double Gilded Wing waves. What that means is upgrading Ice Empire, copying it, and then also, when I get to the last wave, I can actually make that play I said earlier, which is Gifts for a Guard after playing my Ice Empires, to guarantee, or almost guarantee, that I hit Ice Empire off Gifts for a Guard, which scales absolutely insanely with it because of Attuned. So as much as I talked about making the play with the Branding Right, I think I'm actually going to go with the Ice Empire here. I think offense is just more important than defense in this very, very specific scenario. I can do cost reduction on Branding Right, which is the card that I'm consistently going to play. And then I would rather have a Purge than the Magic Power upgrade. I need, again, the high quantity of spells for Gift for a Guard to be super valuable, but the Train Stewards and the Fledgling Imps, even though they get out of the deck in the first cycle, are just a little chunky. Oh, I can actually do both things, so I'm fine. Probably Stun of Torch. Alright. Got a little bit of a game plan. I would say this is not a gimme, though. I'm in a pretty rough spot if the capacity reduction is on the top floor, which it is. One big problem is this Seraph always spawns units on the top floor. When it goes up there, it'll spawn units on the top floor, which I'm actually gonna have to deal with spells that are not reduced by conduit. It's still fine. It does mean that my bottom Titan Sentry, the frostbite from that has a little more time to percolate. Kind of betting on being able to draw my other Titan Sentry pretty early on, but that's not a really lofty bet here. It might actually be better to just take the 15 damage to my Pyre and save the health. But I would rather just go ahead and use the Lance than the Torch. Keep the Torch in the deck to hit off of Branding Right. Or to hit off of Gifts Regard. I should have played the Glacial Seal first. That one's just kind of my bad. Alright. I'm going to encounter a bit of a problem with Ember Drain. It's not too big of a deal. My floors are spread not too wide. This also creates a problem of my Ice Empires will not be cost reduced by my Conduit Tethys. There's actually a small argument for Glacial Seal plus the bottom Titan Sentry. Or just playing middle and top floor and doing that. Give myself a little more time to set up. Either way, it's not too great, if I'm being honest. On the bright side, I can kind of clear things as they pass through. On the downside, these Pyre Wings hit me if they pass through. So I do actually want to Ice Tornado this here. That does mean I can't Ice Empire on this top floor. This is a tough turn. This only deals 11 to me. But it also means that these Ice Empires can't be held over. This is a very awkward fight. Just the order the cards were drawn in, but mainly having this capacity reduction. That's what I'm talking about with Covenant 20, just adding a whole new layer to the game. It fundamentally changes the way you have to play. I'm not excited about letting this thing hit me. It means I probably don't get to play the Ice Empires next turn anyways. Okay. 10. Yeah, we're not even close to keeping this thing alive. Can I keep it alive for one more hit, I guess is a question. The answer is yes. It does apply a little more Frostbite. Let's focus mainly on killing the frontliner because I can just Ice Empire next turn. I think playing top floor without seal is better. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing that. Again, kind of to the set of what I was saying earlier, I don't mind doing rerolls to reset my RNG in fights. That will not reset. My computer just locked. I don't know why. Fortunately, it's my backup computer. That will not reset the floor that has the reduced capacity, but it will let me, you know, reset my plays and to some degree the order that my cards are drawn. So I think I just want to go ahead and Ice Empire on top floor. Arguable. Nah. So I won't be able to see chat for a second. I don't know what's going on with my backup computer here. I've never seen it say locking. That's a new one to me, if I'm being honest. Alright. Ice Empire and Branding Right are both in the deck right now, which is very unfortunate with this Gifts for Regard, but I think I just need the Spike of Power right now. If I hit Ice Tornado, it actually gives me a legitimate chance to deal with the Pyre Wings here. Hitting the branding right's a bit unfortunate. Still worth casting here. Alright, so I am going to take the Ember Train this turn. Just save myself a little bit of life there. Yeah, that's gonna hurt. Yeah, it's really unfortunate. Alright, I basically have to tab out of the game to see chat right now. Kind of annoying. We'll see how this shakes out. This is probably going to be a reroll fight. Kind of nice to scout out fights by seeing what your RNG is here. Okay. Zoom, sap. Huh. Don't actually change what I'm capable of killing up there, so I'd rather keep the Ice Empire around in the deck. I think I have to play top floor for the purpose of being able to play these Ice Empires. That's really the crux here of what's going on. Okay. I do want to set up overlays. I set my stream up originally with Streamlabs instead of Streamlabs OBS, or OBS instead of Streamlabs OBS, which doesn't have the add-ons for stuff like overlaying your chat to your game. And I just haven't quite set up my stream for Streamlabs OBS yet. All right, chat is back online for me. There we go. We're good. All right, yep, definitely playing top floor here. I don't really need to play it with the first one. So I think I'd like to... And if I'm playing Conduit Tethys on the top floor, I can actually still play that Torch on the bottom floor. So I get to Lance here, and then Torch. So I can finally hear you again. Or see you again. Let's get back to it. So Titan Sentry... Glacial Seal could just kind of be tossed on the bottom floor. I might actually just go ahead and branding right bottom floor. Just try to keep this alive for as long as possible. And also just the Frostbite in the immediate sense is pretty nice right now. Does actually cost me a mana. But I'm not too worried about my ability to kill this single Darkling. Now... keep trying to conserve life there as much as possible. Alright. So a little bit of Ember Drain, but we can actually play our Ice Empires now. So now that we've got these cycling in, we're pretty set here. Means I also won't be Ember Drained by these things more than one time. Which is a nice little quality of life improvement over what was happening there. Like to go ahead and get the Fledgling Imp out of the deck. Alright. Might just go ahead and play the bigger Ice Tornado on the middle floor. Actually, bottom floor is pretty good consideration. Maybe keep myself from being Ember Drain. I actually shouldn't have played this Fledgling Imp. If I hit this twice, then it does kill. Yeah. I can deal with the 2 Gilded Wings that are about to come up with my double held over Ice Empires anyways. So I'd like to double torch one of these. Then leaves me, I can just double lance up there. And just try to preserve health. It means I deal less frostbite, but I'm actually not worried about the waves that are coming up right now. I'm worried about the wave coming along with Seraph at the end. As my main priority. So in this case, I would like to gifts and then play my Held Over Ice Empires. Means I get to keep them. Small argument for actually playing Glacial Seal down here right now. It means I get Ember Drained more next turn, which is a little bit rough. But I get to clear this wave a bit more. I'm not too worried about clearing this wave, honestly. Double Ice Empire just deals with any pair of big tanky units. I could keep upgrading my spells and then not actually cast them. That is a viable strategy. You can even like upgrade a single spell with Ice Empire multiple times. As long as you don't play it. Seraph comes in 2 waves. Am I too concerned about being Ember Drained for this turn? I don't think so. Alright. I'm going to leave the Frozen Lances in the deck. Bottom floor is gone. It's kind of predictable here. Alright. So, what do we care about here? Branding right top floor is great. The double Ice Empire will do what I need to do. Oh man, here's pizza. It has arrived.
I was hoping they had like cinnamon sticks, and they do not. That location only does hot and ready items.
So I kind of just want to play as many spells as I can down here. Double Ice Empire is just kind of do its thing on top floor.
I'll be like a sim and put it on the floor.
Do I want to just keep the extra Frozen Lance? It's actually just a extra incant trigger here right now. And extra damage on the one unit that actually does matter. Any way to play this so the ordering matters? Possibly. Kind of sucks to discard the Ice Court Tornado there, but really, really slows down this Seraph. Okay, so double Ice Empire here. Get rid of the consumed lances now. And then hopefully Ice Empire gifts the Ice Empires again next turn. Oh, I needed the gifts first. Actually, the gifts would have only hit Fortify. And it'll still only hit Fortify, right? Oh, no. Okay, so if you don't have enough cards, it will go from there. All right. That worked out, though. Thankfully. Would have looked a little silly. Can kind of just guaranteed get rid of that thing. Without having to invest more here. Alright, did not hit gifts. Hopefully will not be a problem. Alright, so do some quick math here. So I can afford to take 2 hits from Seraph. Seraph will actually trigger its Frostbite only twice before it's relevant. So I get 2 hits on it, which is 40 plus the amount of Frostbite I deal times 2. This Seraph is going through me Let's see, 1, 2, so that's 5. Sorry, I just do that. 238, which means this thing is doing it in 240, which is 8 attacks. And then it kills Tethys on the next attack. So it attacks 9 times. Frostbite here is going to apply 24 times. So 24 times 5 is 120 stacks of Frostbite, right? Plus Tethys's 8 hits, which are each 22. So, 8 times 22 is 176. Plus the 120 here is 296. Plus the 30 it already has is 326. So I think this thing has 326 stacks of Frostbite. Oh wait, it has to hit 9 times total. I actually get 9 hits off of Tethys. So it's 348 because it's dazed right now. So 348 stacks of Frostbite. I think I win. The cost of being wrong about this is really, really high. But I'm pretty confident. Because if Seraph actually kills your Pyre, you do not get to reset the fight. 348 stacks, yep. Whew. A little close. Squeaker. Okay. Man, that was tense.